Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning and happy Easter, everybody. And what a show we've got lined up for you today. Today's a special one. The one and only Michaela Strachan will be here. She'll be here throughout the house, throughout the morning, tucking into a couple of mouth-watering vegetarian dishes. And we've got an authentic Turkish cuisine dish from Saturday morning newcomer. Melis Berg will be here. And we're serving up some classic Spanish cooking. One of my food adventures take me to the salt flats around Cadiz. And don't miss this week's little masterclass when we're teaching you everything you want to know about salt and salt baking fish. That's not all, because I'm joined today by two globe-trotting chefs whose restaurant empires span all the way around the world, probably 3 times, really, and improving and growing as we're on this show as well. It's the brilliant Mike Reed and Jason Atherton. So, Mike, first, well, you've been here a regular on the show as well. Jason, your first time at the house?
Can't believe it. First time.
Can't believe it at the house as well. So what are you going to be cooking for us then? Something slightly different. This is cool.
Yeah, so I'm doing a lamb doner flatbread.
Right, sounds good.
It's off the charts. That's not what you expect from me, is it?
No, it's not what I expect, but if I'm going to have a doner, I want your doner.
I got a list of food, and it was fancy, and it was doner kebab. That's it, it's doner kebab. It's got to be Jason.
And I knew it, you know, I knew it was going to choose.
So you cook beef quite a lot every time you come in here. Is beef on the menu for you? Or?
I do, yeah. So I'm doing something slightly different for me today. Right. I'm doing a pasta, white truffle ricotta angelotti.
Sounds pretty good as well. There we go. And because it's Easter weekend, I thought I'd kick things off today by making my own version of a classic Simal cake with a little help from a brilliant chocolate company down in Cornwall that I'm going to introduce you shortly. So this is the chocolate we've got over here. Now, I'm going to make a classic Simal cake. I'll start with the recipe for this first of all. So Simal cake usually contains, we've got some butter, we've got some sugar. You can change the sugar of this if you want. You can use white sugar. I've got some dark sugar. Produces a lovely rich flavour. And what we want to do is cream the butter and the sugar together first of all. So just take the butter, take the sugar in there. I like using the soft brown sugar. And then we've got our spices, a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of cinnamon, gone in there as well. You can use ginger and that kind of stuff. And then we're going to just mix this together like that, just to cream this. Now, because it's the dark sugar like this, you won't get it nice and white. Don't worry about that, because you're just going to cream this together just slightly. And then we're going to add the eggs, the milk, and I've got some mixed peel over here, as well as sultanas and raisins. A nice little bit of glacé cherries. Jason, nothing, glacé cherries.
Love a glacé cherry.
Got to have glacé cherries. A little bit of flour, some milk, and a touch of brandy that's going to go in there as well. But this is your classic base for the Simal cake. But what I wanted to introduce you to now, so to find out more about where this amazing produce comes from, like I said, when we've done the show, it's your first time, Jason, but in lockdown we had different suppliers on the show. I wanted to introduce the public about the suppliers that we take for granted, not take for granted, but we find in the restaurant. Yeah, and you think these amazing suppliers. Well, when lockdown happened and they couldn't give an avenue to supply the restaurants, then I thought there'd be great opportunities for them to supply the general public.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you meet these hidden gems, and this is what I love about this, because the look on these faces when they're going to taste this produce is going to be spectacular. So to find out more about where this produce comes from this week, we're heading down to Falmouth to speak to Mike Longman from Chocolada. There you are, Mike. I can see you in the factory.
Hey.
Great to speak to you as well. So I'm doing very well. Now, I'm about to introduce these chaps to your chocolate, but tell us where the love affair of chocolate started. Was that something you've always wanted to do? You started doing that, or what?
No, God, I'd love to have that wonderful chef backstory of kind of getting scraps from underneath the table as they drop down from my grandma, but none of that. I started in economics. I was studying a degree in economics in Loughborough, and working part-time in restaurants to try and pay my way through. Yeah. And at the end of the degree, I realised I'd loved food way more than I loved maths and economics, believe it or not. And so a career as a pastry chef was born at that point.
How cool is this already as a start?
Yeah, cool, yeah.
So through that time, you know, we saw lots of food movements, lots of molecular gastronomy coming through, food miles, transparency, and, you know, we wanted to follow all of those and go as far as we could in the kitchen, use the best produce. But in the pastry kitchen, it was often forgotten. You knew the name of the cow that was coming in the next week, but you didn't know where the cocoa for your chocolate was coming from. So that's really what kind of spurred me towards trying to figure out a bit more transparency, a bit more quality, and the love affair of chocolate was absolutely born.
Where were you in the UK at this moment in time then? Because you weren't based in Cornwall. Where were you? Where were you
No,
in the
so I
UK
studied up
thinking
in
about this?
Loughborough.
Yeah.
I started working in the Loughborough area. I moved around Nottingham, Derbyshire area until my wife, who worked front of house, I worked in the kitchen. We both sat down on the sofa, completely burnt out from kind of lots of hours, not enough time together, and not really enjoying all the concrete we were surrounded by, having grown up in pretty rural areas. And we kind of decided to flip a coin as to where we were going to move to, and it was Cornwall or New Zealand. And it ended up as Cornwall. So a couple of weeks later,
As you do.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Flip it
Pretty
across.
close.
You've got
it was
either
that
UK or
point. It
you've
was,
got
yeah.
Australia. Trust me, neither of us, to be honest, might travel as much as these two. To be honest with you, even if you did pick New Zealand, so Cornwall got the vote, and then
it was heads. It was Cornwall. A couple of months later, we were living in Falmouth. So yeah, very mobile jobs. So we moved straight down, and I mean the produce that was on the doorstep was incredible. So another 4 or 5 years in Cornwall, working with incredible like-minded food producers, not just chefs.
Yeah.
The quality of food down here was on another level compared to just the average eatery up in the Nottingham area. In Cornwall, everyone's a little food obsessed.
But not much cocoa production happens down in Cornwall, not yet anyway. But
there wasn't at that point, no. So as a pastry chef, I wanted to kind of source nice and locally. I went down to the local chocolate factories, as they professed, and talked to them about sourcing chocolate through them. And they kind of told me, actually, I can get it cheaper off the wholesaler, which is where they get it. It's just Belgian chocolate. So yeah, kind of went through a lot of different suppliers, and it all traced back to the same big producers.
yeah.
So I couldn't find what I wanted. I couldn't find anything that was representative of the farmers. So I did what us chefs do and threw my hands up and said, I'll make it myself then.
I love this because I'm just a bit like we're making this cake. I'm just going to recap what we've got in here, but I've thrown everything in. We've got the flour. I always do this by hand, otherwise you're going to crush everything. And then I'm going to take this mixture and then just pop it onto our tin and then bake it in the oven. It takes about 50 minutes to an hour. Just bake it in the oven and then allow it to cool down. I'll get on to the next stage. But when you're sat in your factory now, it didn't originally start like that. It started off very, very basic. You were doing this with small amounts of kit, selling it in, I presume, what, farmers markets and bits and pieces, were you?
Farmers markets, local delis. The community down in Cornwall is incredible. As soon as you say I make it down the road, every farm shop and deli was kind of, yeah, we'll stock it. We don't care how much it costs. We'll stock it. We want to support local. So that was a real.
They're about to dive into this, Mike. They're about to dive into this thing that I tasted. I'm going to save this to the end. Break that chocolate. Now,
what's left of it?
Now, what makes it different to you, really, when you're doing this, is you make. Explain to us the process, because you make everything. The machine behind us, everything.
So yeah, we're a little obsessive. We're a little, above and beyond. So we are kind of a new breed of chocolate makers. For a long time, kind of luxury Belgian chocolate has been the thing that people have sought out, but the whole thing is a big branding exercise. What you really want to find is bean to bar chocolate makers, people that are sourcing the actual cocoa bean, the same way that the chefs will get the ingredient in.
It's beautiful.
We source the actual cocoa beans, the sugar, the milk powder to make milk chocolate. We do the whole thing. So what we've done is we've done it in a very sustainable manner from day one. So the packaging is plastic free, of course, but all the way back to the machinery that we source. So rather than buying brand new machinery, we innovate old antiques from. I mean, this roast is 100 years old. This is back when chocolate was being made in small batches properly. So yeah, this is the kind of kit that we want to make chocolate on, and you can taste it. The difference is palpable.
Yeah, that milk chocolate there is absolutely divine.
So, but I think that when you taste this, it tastes like chocolate should be, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's like tasting chocolate for the first time.
Artificial sweetness whatsoever.
So really you're sourcing these beans from all over the world, then I take it. That's the key to this.
Yeah.
Isn't it, really?
Yeah. So the key, the kind of the overlooked, forgotten part of chocolate, as it's been turned into. I mean, chocolate's now mainly sugar. We've just about done away with palm oil, but it's still mainly sugar. So you're going up and you're buying sugar, which means that the cocoa that goes into it needs to overpower that sugar. So it's all over roasted and it tastes pretty naff. What we want is the best of the best. So same way as wine is made, same way as coffee is made, same way as whiskey. You want the best ingredients, and it makes a huge amount of difference where you get it from geographically.
Right.
Different regions, same as coffee, taste completely different. Same as wine, different genetics. The world of chocolate is massive. It's there's so much to explore flavor-wise.
Where are you buying? Where does the best cocoa beans come from? Where would you say with that? I mean,
no,
Indonesia.
you can't do that. No, there's no. So there's no best. So the work of the farmers is paramount to good tasting chocolate. The cocoa beans, when they come out of the pod, people are pretty familiar with cocoa pods. It's fermented. So not many people know that cocoa is fermented. So it takes 5, 7, up to 10 days of fermentation. It's incredibly technical process of fermenting the cocoa beans. That's where a lot of the flavor is being built up. So the skill of the farmer is paramount to good tasting chocolate. And what happens through that fermentation is called spontaneous fermentation. So nothing's added. They just gather together the baba, which is the white pithy cocoa, and it will just ferment of its own accord. And it's down to them to manage what's going on.
It's
and
a
then we get
fascinating
that
process,
produce over here, and it's incredible.
It's a fascinating process.
It's
You get all this, but when we get, you kindly sent some for us last month, and I remember tasting this next bit, and it links us into Easter and everything else like that. And I'm going, I've been a pastry chef for 30 years, and I have no idea how you got that taste into this next bit. Explain to us what this egg is. This is your hot cross bun Easter egg.
What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
What? How? What?
So this is kind of where it's weird. All these different parts of my life have all kind of tied together at Chocolada.
I'm excited about this.
I studied economics of developing countries, and now we have a direct link with developing countries, and we can make an actual difference when we buy the cocoa beans from them. We can make a real difference to them. And then working as a pastry chef, I get to play around now with flavour.
Mike, what is
and
that? Hang
marrying
on.
it with chocolate.
Hang on a minute. What? How have you got that egg to taste like a hot cross toasted bun?
How?
You know, I worked for a very famous chef called Ferran Adria many years ago, who was pretty crazy at flavours and stuff like that. But that's just off the charts.
It's amazing.
Down to the currants, everything. Like the orange peel.
Everything.
How do you get that without giving the game away? How does that happen?
How do you get that? You are an incredibly geeky pastry chef. You start a company and you give yourself a budget. So upstairs we've got a freeze dryer because every kitchen needs its own freeze dryer.
Yeah.
We've got we can produce our own cocoa butter. We can squeeze moisture or fat out of any ingredient. So as soon as you can take every single ingredient back to its base, dry matter, you can squeeze the oils out of anything. You can replicate
That's insane.
anything within chocolate, and it's fun. As soon as it's being driven by a team of passionate people that want to make the best flavored everything, then everything gets.
Was that like
easier.
a Willy Wonka moment when you got that, like, when you got that tasting like that? Was you and your team sort of high-fiving and going, "Wow, that's off the charts"?
Yeah, and it's a daily occurrence. We get to play around. I mean, we
cool,
do a
right?
monthly box of
Really
truffles
cool.
as well. We the sea salt caramel that we produce, we've done for years, but we're down in Cornwall, so it's a bit of a cheat. We get Cornish cream, we get Cornish sea salt. It's pretty easy when you've got such good produce on your door.
When you say that, you say it's easy as well, but it comes from passion at the top as well. Everything else, it's a fantastic job. It's making this look a bit tame considering, really. But I've got in here just a classic Simal cake. I've made the cake. You use some marzipan and blowtorch it like that, and you get this distinct colour on the top that you get on Simal cake.
Fantastic.
And I'm going to use some of your chocolate truffles on here. But you mentioned earlier about your packaging. Do you have do you have designers in house that do all that sort of stuff? Because it's just, I mean, it looks spectacular.
We do have designers in house, whether they like it or not.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It kind of goes back to that, doing everything ourselves. It's
So cool, right?
The design of the products, the packaging itself. We want to be, everything needs to be plastic free. It needs to be, but what we want it to be is strikingly plastic free. So the box that you had there it's all made from cardboard, but it's made from an industry that's essentially kind of getting getting your TV to you without it breaking. So for getting chocolate to you without breaking, it's perfect. And it means it doesn't have any of those coatings that make it hard to recycle. It's everything, and that's kind of a holistic way that we've approached everything to do with chocolate. The industry is so terrible that if we're going to do some of it better, we may as well do all of it better. When
an idea is driven by passion and you've got great quality like that,
that's the difference.
That is spectacular. And send me the recipe for that hot cross bun chocolate. That is wicked as well. But thank you very much, Mike. I wish you all the very best.
Thanks very much, guys.
Take care. Thank you. How good was that?
Oh, amazing.
There you go. 3 new fans for you. There you go. And a classic Simnel cake. Easy as that. Done. See, you can have a little taster of one of these. Go for it. I know you want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a taste of one of these. It sounds daft saying that it tastes like chocolate should be, but now you know there's less sugar, the flavours, so it just keeps going, doesn't it, really? Yeah. It's brilliant.
It's a beautiful level of intensity, and it's not sweet.
Yeah. And it's not one of those things where you'd eat a box of. You just keep one.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's perfect.
True.
There we have it. Right, these two we're cooking for us a little bit later, and I'll be serving a paneer butter curry for my guest, Michaela Strachan, very shortly. But join us again after the break, when I'll be leaving Hampshire behind and heading out on another one of my food adventures. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, Chef Jason Atherton will be firing up the stoves very shortly, and I'll be dishing up a paneer butter curry for the one and only Michaela Strachan in a couple of minutes. Now, later on this morning, I'll be giving you a masterclass in salt and salt-baked fish. So today's food adventure, I thought I'd take a trip to Cadiz in Spain to find out where the salt we use in so much of our cooking comes from. Enjoy this one. I did. I'm exploring Cadiz and everything this wonderful area has to offer. There's amazing seafood, veg, and a key seasoning that you can't do without in Spanish cooking, or any cooking: salt. So we're heading along the coastline now to the famous salt flats that produces some of the most amazing salt in the world. It really does. And trust me, the Spanish use a lot of it. But we are going to meet a few people who are going to teach us a little bit more about what this place has to offer. And apparently, it's more than just salt. The salt marshes of La Esperanza are once again playing their part in producing salt for the region's global salt trade. 30 years ago, these neglected salt marshes were brought back to life in more ways than one, with the help of local expert, Professor Alejandro Perez Hurtado from Cadiz University. I'm meeting him and Susana Martinez, who cultivates vegetation here. Spanning nearly 40 hectares, I'm about to discover more about this intriguing location. So is it seawater and then channels of water?
Yes, and all the things start in a reservoir pond with fish, and then we move this water coming to this area to obtain the salt.
So you've got little rivers of water that coming in, that pump water into these, what do you call these beds? What do you call this?
Yes, this is Tajo.
Tajo.
This quadrat is Tajo, and this is the magic of the salt.
The seawater flows into these long, narrow basins. The water then evaporates under the hot sun, leaving the sea salt behind, ready to be collected and packaged up. What's interesting is each one of these ponds produces 3 tons of salt every 15 days. 3 tons. That's a lot of salt. Even if I'm cooking, that's a lot of salt. Alejandro tells me not all salt produced here is the same. Changes in the weather can make all the difference.
There is a lot of wind. You can obtain a very big and hard salt on the ground, but if there is no wind, you can obtain the flour of salt. It's marvelous.
Flour of salt is the delicate top layer of sea salt that forms into flour-like patterns, and it's a highly valued commodity, not just in Andalusia, but around the world.
It's a white gold.
Exactly.
Yes, it's white gold. And
But it's quite expensive.
Yes, here is 1 kilo is 40 pounds.
40 pounds for a kilo. So, yeah, 40 pound a kilo just for salt. But that's really the creme de la creme. And it's not just salt the seawater brings to the marshes. It contains algae and crustaceans too. Perfect food to attract the many birds that have come here to nest.
We started in 33 years ago with only 5 nests. 5 nests of one species. Now we have 500 nests of a lot of species.
The salt marshes are now teeming with wildlife and plants. And Susanna can show me an edible plant that grows here in the rich, fertile soil that's a bit like samphire. Now, I must confess, I'm no forager. I'm really getting into it, to be honest with you. Tell me about this.
This is the asparagus, the Saliconia typical of Cádiz.
We have it in the UK. I'm sure you've tasted it in the UK. It's very salty in the UK.
Yeah.
Here, this is really sweet.
Yeah, it's
Wow,
very
it's not salty at all. Beautiful and sweet.
Very sweet.
It's quite amazing, this place, isn't it, really? It's quite difficult to see. You end up squinting because the glare from not just the water and the salt, but all this sea asparagus as well. I mean, there's vast amounts of it. And this stuff is so, so important to life, to food, and to my cooking, because without salt, certainly in Spain, the food wouldn't taste the same. And in such an incredible location, I can't help but want to cook up a cheeky little dish using this amazing ingredient. It's so simple, I only need the basics. Now, don't think for 1 minute that salt tastes the same. Couldn't be further from the truth, really. So when you taste it, it's totally different. It's not like manufactured salt. It's nothing like it. It's not like rock salt. It's just got a flavour all on its own. It's just delicious. And I thought I'd do a simple little dish ready with this. Nothing fancy about this. It's just clams cooked with garlic and a little bit of samphire. So you take a little bit of garlic, give it a whack. There you go. A little bit of oil going in there. Get the garlic going a little bit first of all, and then we've got these beautiful clams. You can use clams or mussels for this one. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to pop the clams straight in. In we go with the white wine. We're going to take our beautiful samphire over here. Look at this. It is very, very different to the UK one. It's less salty, it's nice and sweet. And we're just going to pop this just in and amongst it. You've almost got a natural seasoning with this as well, really. So this will cook quite quickly now as the clams start to open up. Then add a little bit more oil to this. Just a touch. See, I love cooking like this. And we just take a little bit of salt over the top. Now, when I was thinking this idea, I didn't anticipate the wind, but we're going to attempt to chop parsley in this wind. It's going to chop very, very quickly and then straight in the pan, but... in. There. We've lost half of it. So a little squeeze of lemon. There's something about this style of cooking. It's pure, it's simple. Look at that. It's cooked. It's beautiful, this. It's lovely and sweet. And it's so, so simple. And if you want to, just soak in some of that lovely liquor. Just take a bit of bread and pop that in. See, I don't think there's a nicer dish from that, using lovely samphire. How good is that? Clams and samphire, seasoned with salt from these amazing marshes. What an amazing place that was to go visit. Spain was spectacular, but now you know where sea salt comes from and how it's made. Now, the very talented Jason Aston will be cooking for us a little bit later, and I'll be enjoying a dish from Malesberg a little later in the show. But I'll see you back here in a few minutes when I'll be chatting to Michaela Strachan over a delicious vegetarian curry. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be giving you a masterclass in salt and salt-baked fish in just a bit. Mr. Mike Reed will be treating us to one of his favourite pasta recipes. That's coming up later on this morning. But first, I'm delighted to be joined at the house by a presenter who's been sharing a love of wildlife and the natural world with viewers at home for more than 30 years. It's Michaela Strachan! Ching, 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 ching!
Hey,
welcome
cheers.
to the house!
Lovely to be
We're
here.
via South Africa, because that's where you're living now.
That's where I'm living now.
Yeah,
I
twisted like, I'm going to go to South Africa. It's what...
didn't come here specially. I'd like to say I did. But,
Damn. But what a beautiful place to live.
it is. It's absolutely stunning. I bet you've been plenty of times.
Been plenty of amazing food as well.
Amazing food. And what most people say about South Africa is, you know, how reasonable it is to go out for a really nice meal.
Well, this must be interesting, because you've been out there for how long?
21 years.
What's it like coming back over here and then going out now? Because it, you know, notoriously, this is not the cheapest place to go out to have something to eat.
I can't believe how expensive a glass of wine is in this country. I went out last night, my glass of wine was £13.50. I can get, what, 3 bottles for that?
Exactly. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to, of all the dishes that I was going to cook for you, I thought, I'm going to try this, because you're a big fan of Indian cookery as well, and vegetarian.
Yeah, I'm vegetarian, have been since I was 17 years old. And I really like Indian food, but I don't like spicy Indian food.
Right.
And when I went to India, it's not. It's spicy, but not hot.
Well, I've got chilli on here, and maybe I won't put all the chilli in.
No, do not put all
Put some
that
green
in.
chilli in at the end. But we're going to start off. This is a paneer buttered curry. So this is a buttered curry. But we're going to use paneer instead of sort of chicken or fish and that kind of stuff. So paneer we're going to deep fry. Start off with the onions over here. I've got some garlic, I've got some bay, a little bit of ginger, garam masala, tomatoes tinned as well as fresh, cream, bit of veg stock, some curry leaves, and then some coriander. That's all going to go in. We're going to make a nice little sauce with it and put it with the deep fried paneer. I'm going to serve this with a peel on rice in a second. So firstly, I said 30 years of doing this, but I remember watching you on TV, and I had several influences in my life, one of which is food. The other one I got from you guys watching on TV back then. And that was wildlife, particularly birds of prey. Because where does the fascination come from you when you were... Because that's not what you trained to be. You didn't train to be a presenter or...
I seem to have fallen into different parts of my life as I've gone along. And I started off with a love of dance and musical theatre.
So, but you, I mean, you travel around the UK as well in theatre as well, before TV, before any of that.
Yeah, so I got into a musical, Seven Brides and Seven Brothers, and we went on tour around the whole of the UK. We went to Canada as well, and then we went into the West End of London. And while I was in the West End, I auditioned for a Saturday morning children's programme called The Wide Awake Club, and got the role of one of the presenters with Timmy Mallet and Tommy Boyd.
And then, but wasn't it, when you did that, your interview, am I right in thinking it was a rubber chicken that got you the job?
So it's really funny because I'm quite proud of this part. I recently was given an honorary doctorate in science.
Well, hey.
And I know, thank you very much, thank you. And so I went and had to do a very short thank you. And at the end, I said, a lot of you today will be going home with a piece of paper, either your doctorate, your degree, or your master's, and that will probably open doors to your future career. And I said, this is what opened the door to my future career. And I got, from my big cape that I had to wear, this rubber chicken that was the very rubber chicken that I used in the audition for the Wide Awake Club. So I will explain why a rubber chicken.
So you've got a rubber chicken and Tommy has got a mallet, and that's...
Yes, and that's what got us our careers. And they said, do something to entertain kids to show off your potential and your talent. So Spitting Image was a big thing at the time.
Yeah.
And the chicken song was in the charts. That song, hold a chicken in the air, put a deck chair up your nose, fly a jumbo jet. You remember it well, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not singing it on television, but yeah, it's not you are, but yeah.
And so I've still got that rubber chicken that I took to that audition.
So
it's my lucky chicken.
From kids' TV to doing more serious stuff, the wildlife, where does your love of wildlife come from then? Have you always had that?
I always loved wildlife and I always cared deeply about the welfare of wildlife. But I didn't really have any knowledge about wildlife. I mean, I didn't even do biology in O-level. So I sort of fell into wildlife presenting because they wanted a well-known children's presenter to present a programme called Owl TV. Which stood
Owl
for
TV.
Yeah, it stood for Outdoors and Wildlife, and it was presented by kids. They needed a well-known children's presenter to link the kids' pieces.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter that you knew anything about wildlife or not. So I started doing that, and as we did it, sort of learnt along the way.
Yeah.
And then got poached by the BBC to do the Really Wild show. And the more I did, the more my knowledge grew, the more my passion grew. So I don't have an academic background, but I've learnt on the job.
But I've got to talk to you about the latest thing you're involved in. Well, you a couple of things. We'll talk about the Channel 5 thing you've got coming up later, but tell us about this pilgrimage, because I found this fascinating. I've watched this on the show before with a different group of people.
Yeah.
This is a select group of people from different backgrounds,
yeah.
totally different age brackets, totally different, all levels, different. Put them together, and you're doing this pilgrimage, this walk. I just find this fascinating. I'd love to be.
And it was really. I mean, it was a 2-week pilgrimage. We went in North Wales on the North Wales Pilgrim's Way, and we were so lucky, James. The weather. It was September. It was the first week of September, and it was glorious. We were in shorts, which really made our experience very different to if we'd been in typical Welsh sort of rainy weather.
But what a beautiful part of the world.
Absolutely stunning. We did some of the coastal path. It links up with the coastal path. We went up Snowdonia as well.
So where is this geography? We're going to show a little clip in a minute. Where is this geography-wise?
It starts in Holywell, so it starts in North Wales, and then it goes down. Our trip went down to just before you get to Bardsey Island. So it's sort of northwest Wales coastline, and it really was stunning. It was a beautiful walk.
The idea of this is not just to see the countryside and everything else, but the idea of this is to obviously film the group of you doing it. Everything about the way you think, because it's for a lot of people who've done it before, and it's life-changing. It changes your...
Some people found it life-changing. I mean, I didn't particularly...
Well, you're used to... but you haven't said this, you're used to the country... You've got to go to some amazing places, but the countryside in Wales is just spectacular. Those people who haven't been, it's just amazing anyway.
Yeah, and certainly some of the pilgrims that live in London were amazed at just how beautiful that coastline is.
Greenery is.
Yeah, and going up Snowdon, you know, it's just absolutely stunning.
Well, we'll see a little bit of it now while I'm about to deep fry this, because this makes a lot of noise. That's gone in there. Check this out.
Over 2 weeks, the pilgrims will journey through stunning Welsh landscapes.
Look at that! Can't believe it.
There'll be trials.
It's just minging.
Come on, team!
There was snoring, wailing, thunderclap.
And revelations.
So, like, Jesus Christ definitely existed. Like, I thought he was fictitious.
I'm not scared of death anymore.
They'll be challenged emotionally.
I associate this breeds with praying at my mum's grave.
And changed by life-affirming experiences.
We did it! Look at that!
I woke up this morning and I did have the thought, am I going to become a monk?
The pilgrimage has been insane.
I mean, that end bit is just spectacular. You're used to this, but for people to... I love Wales, like I said, but to see it like that is spectacular when the weather's so good as well.
I think people forget just how beautiful the coastline of the UK is, and particularly that part of the coastline is absolutely glorious.
There we have it. So I don't know how we're getting that to chili, but this is the first time ever I'm going to let my guest taste this before I actually put the chili in it.
You've put the chili in?
The chili is here.
Okay.
I haven't put any chili in this. Now I put...
Oh, that is so delicious. Do you know what I think it is that I don't do? I don't put enough salt in dishes.
Salt is the key.
I've been sort of told not to put too much salt in things, and yet it's brought out the flavours.
Do you know what, Michaela? It's always the salt that's hidden in food, and it's the packet sauces, the stuff like that, that's the problem. It's never the salt that you put on your food. It's the salt that you don't see. It's the stuff that's in the packets and all that kind of stuff that people are using. And that's where the problem lies again with that one. So if you make it like that, you just need to put... And it's also the right salt. We're doing a whole thing later on in the show about salt, which I'll show you the types of salt that we use. Over here, I've got a nice little bit of pilaf, which you get flavour from the caramelised onions. I've got some beautiful colour in there with a little bit of cloves, a little bit of cardamom pods, a touch of cinnamon, and that's cooked away nicely. And then we've got this beautiful little paneer curry, which I think is about there ready. So you just take the little bit of paneer. Now, me, at home, and I am at home, I would take this green chilli and sprinkle it on the top.
You're welcome to do that to yours.
Little bit of a kick, but I'm going to pop that on there. You're going to stick around as well. We're going to talk about loads more later on the show, but it's good to have you at the house. But there we have it, my first dish for you, a lovely little paneer buttered curry.
Why is it taking me so long to come on your show? Because, you know, if you're going to feed me like that, I'm coming every week.
I'm not going anywhere, but
okay.
you've got a flight to catch. But there you go. You're the one that's travelling, not me, but there you go, it's done.
Hey!
Bon appetit.
Oh, it looks good.
Do you want some fresh chilli on it?
No, thanks.
I'm going to just sprinkle a bit more green chilli over the top like that.
This is like my favourite dish.
Well,
this is
and it's cooked for you in 8 minutes. Done.
Oh, my word, I'm going to do this at home without a doubt.
Tell me what you think.
That is so good in the paneer, the way you cook the paneer.
So much flavour in it.
It works brilliantly.
Nice, that, isn't it?
No, this is, like, really nice.
Well, that's dish number one. You're sticking around for it later. Wait till you taste the soup. The soup's amazing later on. Like I said, I'll be making a roasted tomato soup for Michaela later on this morning. And there's a masterclass in salt baking fish coming your way very shortly. But join us again after the break, where Mr. Jason Atherton will be here. The first time he's been on the show, and he's serving up a doner kebab that's worthy of a Michelin star. He's got 4 of them already. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now I'll be teaching you how to bake salt-baked fish in this week's little masterclass, and I'll be cooking a roast tomato soup for my guest, Michaela Strachan, a little bit later on in the show. But first, I'm here with my guests, Mike and Melissa. Great to have you in the show, Melissa, as well. You're going to be cooking for us later. What are you going to be doing?
I am. I'm going to be making a stew called molla here. Right. So it's slow-cooked lamb and jute mallow leaves, and I'm going to be making vermicelli rice and a really traditional Cypriot bread known as chulek.
You're going to tell me all about this.
I can't wait.
It's all gone straight over my head. You could be making this up and I could be doing anything.
How did you figure that out? Completely make it up.
There you go. But we're about to taste a dish from a chef who's worked with the legends of Pierre Kaufman, Marco Pierre, Gordon Ramsay before going into have huge success all around the world with his own restaurants as well. It's the brilliant Jason Atherton. And first time you've been on the show as well.
It is, I can't believe it.
Good to have you in the house.
I know. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we've got warmed up. You fired up the pizza oven as well.
Pizza oven, I'm cooking outside.
So tell me what you're going to be doing then.
Well, you know, now I'm getting on a little bit. You know, I don't have these complicated recipes anymore, so I want to...
You used to. Can I just say you used to?
I used to, yeah. Really complicated. But now I'm doing a flatbread doner kebab. How about that? Who would have ever believed?
I didn't believe it. When it got the list of recipes that he was going to do, it was fancy, even more fancy, fancier doner kebab. I said, that's the one he's doing. He's got to do this.
And I knew, you know, when I said that I knew. I thought...
So you're going to tell us about the bread. You want me to... I'll take the string off the lamb. So tell us about the bread, first of all. This is the...
So this is a, you know, a sourdough flatbread. And then this is just water, flour, feed it, let it ferment, let it bubble up. So I've had this since lockdown, actually. So we bought it a little bit with us.
That's not a race starter going off. That's actually a pigeon scarer. That's the crow scarer going off over there. But there you go. That's that one. Go on.
And then a little bit of flour, of course, some yeast, salt, sugar, olive oil, and then some water. And then we just mix it all together, start off the
That's what
yeast.
You want me to do for this
Please, yes.
I love all this. First time you're on the show and you get me to do everything so far. It's nice, isn't it?
You've got to cook a bit of lamb.
I'm just going to stand here and talk.
It's all right, isn't it?
If you're happy to listen to me.
So tell us about this is the marinade bit on the lamb.
This is the marinade bit. So we're going to cure it, actually. So because I sort of want that, I want a nice bit of firmness to this, so all I'm going to do is cure it. All I've got in here is thyme, lemon, and lots of sea salt, and then we're just going to turn it over. And then all we're doing with this is we're going to leave it for a couple of hours, let it cure, and then we're going to wash it off. And the reason why I've chosen to show you this bit, because I think this is the most important part of the recipe.
Yeah.
So once it's nicely packed in like that, then you can just bang that in the fridge, leave it for a few hours. It's really important you sort of press it all in.
So this is dry curing it as well?
It's a dry cure, exactly that. Yeah. It's a dry cure. Very similar to brining, right?
So there's a bowl there if you want to wash your hands. So tell me about I've known you from the days of Mr. Ramsay and before that even.
Long
before TV and all that kind of stuff. When was the moment you went, I'm going to go off on your own? Because it was quite a big risk for you, because you remortgaged the house. It
was a risk, yeah, big risk.
You've got not a comfort zone, but you've got the comfort zone of working in a restaurant, because you worked in Dubai as well with Gordon's Place.
Exactly. And that was 20-odd years. I can't believe it. It was 20-odd years ago.
So when was Maze then? Was that
Maze?
before?
I opened Maze with Gordon in 2005.
Right.
But prior to that, 5 years before that, Gordon just said to me, look, you know, we're doing our first foreign restaurant, you know, it's going to be in Dubai. So anyway, we went there and it was an amazing place, fell in love with it. We opened the restaurant, great success. And, you know, met my wife there. She worked at the hotel where Gordon had his restaurant, on reception. We got married there, you know, we got married there. And then, so we've got fond memories of Dubai.
You came over, but to set up on your own as well. Big risk for you in London.
Massive, yeah.
Did you ever dream? You can't have dreamed of what...
You know, you think back to when that day actually happened, and I remember very clear. I was at Maze. It was a Saturday night. We were packed. It was going great. And I just, in my head, I just thought, you know, I've got to see if I can do it for myself. I had no idea I was going to do it. I just went home and said to my wife, you know, look, we're gonna do it.
Because within what month was it? 6 months you had a
3 months.
3 months you had a star.
Yeah. Which we wasn't expecting, by the way. It was never. I never set the restaurant up for a star. It was set up as it was called a neighbourhood bistro.
Yeah.
But, you know, Michelin loved it, and they supported us, and we were
And
very
now
thankful
you seem
for
to have got that anyway, because anyway, I'll let you start chopping this up. We'll get this...
So that basically is that, once we've washed it all off, bit of mirepoix, so carrots, onions, garlic, in a pan, roasted off. Very important, you put a little bit of paprika, smoked paprika.
Okay.
A little bit of cumin, a little bit of coriander seeds, and that gives it that sort of doner kebab flavour.
Are you cooking that with the stock? Or no?
With the stock, yeah.
Okay.
So lamb stock, so a little bit of lamb stock in here, and then you end up with this sort of lovely, and you can really start to smell that sort of doner kebab sort of flavour in there.
I mean, who doesn't love a kebab?
Who doesn't love doner kebab? And then all you do is cut this up. We've got the sauce from the braise, which is there, which we've reduced down.
So this is this one that I'm doing over here. And this puree that I've heated up, what is this?
That's white onion puree. So all that is onions from the mirepoix. Take them out, so we don't waste anything. And then all we're doing with that is reducing it down so it's really nice and jammy, and then we blend it, and that's it. So all you do now is put that jus back on. Actually, James, we're going to put that, thank you. We're going to pop that in there like that. That should be enough. We get that reducing down.
So do you want me to put it in this pan?
Yeah, if you don't, it's a bit hot. Yeah, do that one. There you go, perfect. Even a little bit of fat's good. Get it in there. Right, we can get rid of that.
Loving this.
I love it. It's like, I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to do a lamb doner.
But
it's adjacent as a lamb doner.
Yeah, it's a bit more,
I just
a little bit more fancy than that. Exactly, white onion puree.
So tell me what this
So now,
you actually brought this in your car. You got that without spilling everywhere.
I know, exactly, yeah. And I don't really take my car out of London that often, so I put my foot down a little bit. Well, within the speed limit, of course.
So we're actually making the flatbread bit.
So now this is the flatbread bit now, yeah. So semolina flour. We can make one each.
Okay.
And how long is that been fermented for?
Yeah, this is fermented 24 hours. Hence why we've got to do it before we came. Yeah. And this is going to be, so we're doing a couple of new restaurants this year, so this is going to be on our, well, actually, you know, I can actually say it. If you don't mind me...
Give us a couple of restaurants this year.
If you don't mind me saying, I mean, I'll give you the exclusive. Pollen Street is actually the restaurant we were just talking about is actually going to close.
Right.
I'm closing it this year, so you've got the exclusive on that, James. So I've not told anybody yet.
To turn it into what?
I'm just going to make it a little bit more casual. You know, we're not... you know, at the moment we're sort of fine dining-ish.
Yeah.
We're going to sort of chill that out a little bit.
There's a movement away from that, then, with chefs.
And I just think, you know, look, I just think that we are doing something on Savile Row more fine dining than Pollen Street. So I'm sort of not going to say we're walking away from fine dining, because we're not at all. But what we are doing is this dish is actually from our new restaurant in Carlton Place in St James's. We're doing a restaurant, what's going to be called Sale, which means...
It's like a Monopoly board with you, isn't it?
Which is like...
Top trump jet.
And they're all purple.
Love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is I've lost my concentration now. So we will still be in the fine dining space.
Yeah.
And that restaurant will be called Row on 5, and that will be on Savile Row.
Fantastic.
So right, we need to put on the, what do you call it now, the onion puree. We'll put that on.
I'm poised ready with my...
I know, let's actually do the dish, what I'm
let's do
actually
the dish.
here for, rather than...
Stop talking about Monopoly, but
I know,
do this.
exactly, right. On goes the onion puree. We then put our cheese, cut a bit of cheese
So
on.
what cheese you've got in here?
So this is Brigdale. So this is... I'm just going to put this on, actually. I'll use the microplane for this. This is sheep's cheese, really soft.
Do you want me to do that one? So what's this one called?
This one's called Brigdale, this one.
OK.
That one goes on at the end, but after we've cooked it. So if you want to put a... is that lamb ready? Put a bit of lamb on it. That's good.
Right, I'm going to leave you to put a bit of lamb on it.
And then you can put a bit of lamb on it. I don't mind, you know.
It's your dish. You can put this. This looks amazing, though. Look at that.
It's
You can
smell
smell it. This is not like a doner kebab that I usually sort of used to, but...
So just stick it...
But you're going to stick it on. I'm just
OK, I'll do it then.
Get a spoon here.
Go on, then. Great. Thank you very much, sir.
There we have it. How do you think about all these different restaurants? Because how many you've got now?
That'll be... We've got 17 at the moment, globally. But, you know, yeah, it sounds complicated, but, you know, I've been doing it for a long time now, right? So it's sort of like, I don't know.
But these restaurants are... I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, you've got Ozen here, but these are all over the place as well.
All over, yeah. So everywhere from Shanghai to the Philippines to London, of course, to St. Moritz. We have a fantastic sort of nightclub stroke restaurant in St. Moritz, what does really well in the ski season. So it's great. So we do lots of stuff.
I love him. Go on then. Right, this goes in here.
In it goes. That's it.
Happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any in sort of...
Where?
Skeggy, where are you from?
No, definitely not. No, nothing wrong with it. I love Skegness.
Skegness is ace.
I was brought up there in the 70s and 80s.
Can I tell you, I think in common when you were a kid, because we looked after donkeys when we were kids.
Yes. You was a donkey boy?
I wasn't a donkey boy, but we looked after them in the winter. You know, when they were...
That's an actual job, by the way.
I was going to say.
I remember
it sounds a little bit odd.
Because when they were riding up and down on the... You used to seaside. Did you do that bit?
That's it.
Yeah, I looked after them in the winter when they'd had enough of that and they needed somewhere to go and stay.
We could have tag teamed.
Yeah. The donkey was that was what I was called. Black one with a white nose. That's what it was called.
Literally, that was it. So I have to feed them, groom them, saddle them up, take them to the beach. I think back then it was like 10p a ride, I think, something like that, and then take them up and down the beach.
It feels to me that you've got that same work ethic from when you were a kid. That you still got that drive now, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I was a barrow boy before that, so I'd pick you up at the station. My dad, Dave, made me out of a pram. He put like a door on it, you know, and screwed it to it, drilled it to it, and then put like a little saddle things around it. And then we'd wait. You know, there'd be a team of us. We'd wait at the station, pick your suitcases up, and I was doing that at 10 years old.
I love that.
That's brilliant.
You know, taking you to your hotel, unload your thing.
So this is about ready. So I'm going to take.
Yep.
I'll take the first one out for you.
Great. I mean, look at that.
I mean, look at that.
I'm super happy with that.
Wow.
Happy with that one?
Absolutely. Right, we're going to get on there. We're going to get a little bit of this on top.
The other one out as well.
So we'll get a little bit of this on top. Put that on there like that.
So what was that, Jason?
So this is like wild garlic yoghurt.
Oh, yeah.
So in there goes like that. Do your one as well at the same time.
2 more, please, James.
You just know this is good, isn't it, really?
Put it on like that.
So where do people have to go in the world for this, then?
This is going to be in St James's. We're going to open up in late August. It's going to be one of our sort of snacks on the menu there.
Cheese over the top?
Yes, please. On there like that. And then a little bit of... We're just going to put a little bit of this on top.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to chop it. In the old days, I'd just chop it. No, I'm not even going to chop it anymore.
You have changed.
I'm over it. Chopping's overrated.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah, just over the top.
Cheese on top like that.
So give us the name of this dish.
And that is my lamb doner flatbread.
He's not been on the show before, but it's worth the wait. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Atherton.
Well done. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Right, do you want to check us a board, please,
absolutely.
Jason? There we go. I'm assuming you don't want knives and forks. You're just quite happy eating as is.
No way.
Finger food.
Absolutely.
Look at that sauce.
And me and Dee have got this one, if
absolutely.
That's all right. There you have it.
Oh, my gosh. Amazing. Thank you.
Dive into that. This looks amazing. And nice with the onion puree as well in there.
Thanks.
That's special, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
That's good, right?
That wild garlic yogurt is divine.
I've changed, James. I've changed.
You've changed. It's still brilliant. James Nathan, everybody. These is up. That is amazing.
Oh my God.
Oh, beautiful. Fantastic. Right, these two will be cooking for us a little bit later on in the show. So there's still loads more to come from my guest, Michaela Strachan, as well. I'll see you in a bit. That is delicious.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be teaching you the basics of salt-baking fish and salt in this week's Little Masterclass. And we finish off the show in style by serving up a roasted tomato soup for all my guests, including Michaela Strachan. But first, I'm here with the two chefs, Mike and Jason. We're about to enjoy a taste of the Mediterranean from a woman whose food is inspired by her family's Turkish Cypriot roots. It's Melezberg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
The pressure's on.
Oh, it really is, but I'm very excited.
Well, I'm wanting to learn with this because it's a part of the world that I know very little about, Cyprus and Turkey. You know a little bit about it?
A little bit, yeah, but that cuisine's booming. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, and so tell me, what's this dish that you're going to be making then?
I'm making a dish called molahia.
Right.
And I'm making it the way Turkish Cypriots make it. So it's kind of lamb, lots of onions and garlic and tomatoes. It's cooked across the Levant. We were just chatting, weren't we, Mike? It's cooked in the Caribbean, It's cooked over Africa. You get it kind of Bangladesh, Philippines, but I'm cooking it specifically the way Turkish Cypriots cook it.
Okay.
And that starts off with a base of lamb, and I've got lamb shoulder here. So that just gets fried off. I feel like I need to be a bit more generous with the oil as well. Okay. And it gets fried off in some oil. But we're not really searing it. It almost kind of just stews down, and then slowly with the onions and the garlic.
I'm assuming cooking these onions quite not too small.
That's perfect, yeah. It's no dicing needed. Because again, this is going to cook for about an hour.
So it stews down, yeah?
Yeah, it stews down really well.
So are you browning it a little bit, or just getting a little bit of colour on it? Is that?
A little bit of colour, definitely. And then the heat gets turned down once the onions and the garlic are added, and it just literally stews, and it almost creates this like thick, jammy base, and then it goes in with the onions.
Is this always done with lamb, or is this?
Some cook it with chicken, but in my household we are lamb snobs, and we want it with lamb. And lamb is so prevalent in Cypriot cuisine as a whole, and especially for Turkish Cypriots as well.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you get the real umami flavour with lamb. There's a real meaty base to the dish, especially when it's a yachni base. So yachni is like anything that starts with an oil, onion, tomato base, and that forms a really lovely gravy once these gorgeous leaves are added, and we'll talk about them in a minute because those leaves are glorious. Thank you.
There you go. Right, you want some garlic in there as well.
I love some garlic.
All this garlic.
So, I mean, once the lamb kind of starts to colour, that's when you then kind of go in with the onions and the garlic.
Right.
So right now, I'm going to add those in. And it's such a simple dish. And a lot of Turkish Cypriot and Cypriot cuisine is really simple, but it's the love that you take to kind of cook things slowly and over time. It takes a long time.
Do you cover it or just gently cook it?
Yeah, turn it down, cover it, and then it should end up...
Funny enough, it ends up like this.
Perfect.
This one, yeah, that's
exactly,
that one.
And that's what it looks like when it's been cooked down for about an hour. I mean, there's no harm in leaving it for a bit longer, but cooking it slowly is the key. You want the lamb to fall apart at the end. And then you go in with the rest of the good stuff. So there's just some chopped tomatoes.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, if, seasonally you've got fresh tomatoes, I would halve lovely fresh tomatoes, grate them, discard the skins and use that lovely pulp. And that's how...
So is this served all year round? Or?
All year round. I mean, I'll go and visit my family in Cyprus in July and August, and we'll be eating this in the
boiling hot, you're eating a stew?
Honestly, we have soups for breakfast, James. It's bonkers. But yeah, all year round. And then another key thing that my mum always puts in, loads of whole black peppercorns. Okay. And they're lovely. My little girl always is like, Mummy, I've just bitten a peppercorn, but it's gorgeous. It really adds lots of lovely flavour. And we've got some ground pepper as well, lots of salt, and another key ingredient is lemon juice. And again, some people cook this with less in now. Some cook with less lemon juice, more lemon juice, less tomatoes. It just depends. Like even these dishes, varies so much according to which family cooks it, which village they're from, you know, how their grandmother made it, and that's what.
Now you mentioned a lot about your family as well, but one thing I want to talk about is your career, because you've got gentlemen over here who've got restaurants. You're surrounded by chefs who have got restaurants. This was your love, but not your first love, in terms of doing this for a living. Well, you were a music teacher.
I was a secondary school music teacher for 8 years. And I think that's where my love of food is so prevalent in my life as well. I love feeding, I love kind of nurturing. And so the teaching then to coach, so teaching music. So I was teaching up to A-level music and then setting off my lovely students to go and study. And it's lovely now, I'm still in touch with them. Still call me Miss, which is lovely. You know, my choirs were... Like, I had so much joy kind of, you know, teaching these children to kind of... It's cathartic. Anything like this is such a lovely cathartic process. Cooking, singing, being musical. And I think you can lose yourself in it. So transferable skills. Yeah, we're going to go in, sorry.
Do you want water as well or not?
We will, but these leaves have been...
Tell me about these leaves then. What are these?
So these are Nauta jute or jute mallow leaves, and they are have been soaked. These were dried, and they're really, you can find them anywhere now online. When I was a youngster, you couldn't get them anywhere other than bringing them over in your suitcase that your grandmother had dried. But you know, now you can find them online, and it's amazing, really. And it just shows how easy food can travel. Things like the internet, things like people eating out, travel. You know, people have discovered ingredients and dishes that they wouldn't necessarily.
So what do you? So you get them dried. What are you doing to soak them?
Just soak. Nice clean sink or a big bowl. Soak them in some water.
How long for? Or
just, I mean, they don't need soaking for too long. Just give them a good wash as well, because they've obviously been dried. And I would say no more than 10 minutes, really, because this is going to cook down now. You need about 2 litres of water. There might be a little bit more water that we need, but yeah. Once it's done.
So that's that stage. So once we're at that, which we've got over there, I'm going to leave you to talk about the bread that we've got on here. So if you're going to go explain to what we've got over there.
We're going to make chedek, or Kutler's chedek, which is a really distinctive Cypriot loaf that's almost like segmented. You can see one back there. And it's just, I mean, it's just strong white bread flour. In Cyprus, there's like village flour that is used. So we've got some milk, which again isn't a traditional ingredient, but I love adding milk to bread. It just makes it lovely and light and fluffy. Water, and then spices. I've got ground cloves, ground cinnamon. I've got mahleb, which is like a wild cherry stone that has been ground down, and it's beautiful.
It smells amazing.
It's really distinctive. Oh, it's gorgeous, yeah. Get that in your lovely restaurant. It's very good.
Smells amazing.
Really good. This is it, and as you can see, those lovely spices end up almost kind of creating these lovely flecks of colour in the dough. Now, the beautiful thing about this dough is the shaping of it. So you kind of flatten it down like this. I might need it. What I do need you to do, if you don't mind, is mix the flour, milk and water together, please.
Very familiar
and once I shape it, it gets dipped into this concoction. There's more spices as well here, because I've got toasted sesame seeds, I've got some nigella seeds and anise seeds as well. I need this side plate, because I'm going all grandmother, old school kind of nenne, nonna style, and I'm going to cut that with a side plate. So you can just fluff it down. It's got lovely and sticky. And you kind of roll it over like this. It doesn't need to be too pretty. It gets shaped like this.
So while you're doing that, these gentlemen may have restaurants and stuff like that. First book and #1 bestseller, Sunday Times bestseller. They ain't got that, have they?
No.
So this is, I mean, this is your love of food, everything, all in one book. This was your first book.
That's my first book. Do you know what? It's the book I always wanted to write, and it's, to be honest, it sounds like a really romantic thing to say, but it still feels like a bit of a dream come true. And I think when I was younger, I was like, there was, you know, one thing I always wanted to do, or a couple of things, was to work in music or to be musical somehow, and to write a cookbook with all my family recipes. I feel my heart beats a bit faster every time I say it, and I did it, and it just means, not only does it mean the world to me, it meant a lot to my family, but what I've realised since the book has been released is how much it's meant to a lot of other people as well. And it's just, I love what I do, and it's been lovely to see people kind of gain confidence in the kitchen, cooking recipes that maybe they grew up with and didn't know how to make, or have been on holiday and had something and not realised that was how it was done.
She's made that look really easy. Look at that. He likes that. That's going to...
Is there a brush?
Yes, there is a brush.
Thank you.
So you've just cut each one of those and put it back together
with a side plate. And when it cooks, Obviously, it rises. Those slits there kind of separate ever so slightly without completely partitioning, and then it becomes like this segmented bread, which is really, really unique.
Just cutting down the order for my new restaurant for the plate. I'm just buying him a side plate. So I'll just watch Melise do it.
You don't need to rope it. You don't need your fancy cutter.
All these fancy machines.
And
Side plate.
This is the fun bit, where you kind of... My kids make this now. Like, my son can literally measure out the ingredients all by himself. My little girl will cut it up. Like,
Really?
and that's another beautiful thing, you know, just watching them have the confidence to do those things. So that just gets tossed over like that and dipped in all the bread, the seeds, and we flip it back over and then pop it on a tray. And that's it, really, like that. So it's just very traditionally done. Like in Cyprus, traditionally, it's actually made, and we were talking about this earlier, like a sourdough starter, but with fermented chickpea water, so like aquafaba that's infused with bay leaves as well.
There, if you want to watch
so
that.
this is almost a cheats method, thank you. The cheats method of doing it. And this is how this
made
dish
it look
is
so
served.
easy.
So you made that look really I saw you looking, going, what is he doing?
I've just watched you all make fancy pants flatbreads that have been fermented for 24 hours, so that is nothing.
Don't worry, it's accessible.
Side plate. That's all we need.
Right.
And then that's it, really.
So then you leave this to prove up and then
for
bake
another
this.
half and then bake it.
Okay.
And there should be one
in
that's
here.
good to go.
Which we're about to get out. So you've got the rice. How long does the rice take to cook then?
About 12 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then you cover it with kitchen roll, pop the lid on and leave it for about 10 minutes.
Just say, look at this.
That it kind of absorbs all the liquid. And it should be when you... Like you've literally just cooked it from fresh.
Wow, look at that.
Beautifully soft. And it's so fragrant. It's hard... Oh, God, that is... It smells good. Really, really good.
Looks awesome.
Right, so we've got our little bowl over here. So I've seasoned that up ready for you.
Perfect.
I'll let you put the rice in this one first.
Brilliant.
So.
And in fact, there's another lovely loaf in the oven, if you want to serve that.
Is that my cue to get the other one out?
Yeah.
OK, that's that one.
Thank you. Right, so that rice just gets served like that.
Happy with that?
I mean, if I wasn't being so posh, I'd be serving it all in one plate, but we've got to make it look chefy. So, and then the mullah here.
That one.
And in fact, this is even better if it's cooked the day before and it's left to stew, and like anything that's like slow cooked and it's stewed the next day, it is just utterly glorious. It also freezes really well because obviously you make a big batch. There's no point cooking this and only making enough for like the 4 of you. It's one of those things that if you're going to put time and love into it, you may as well make a proper batch and then freeze it.
So what is this one you've got here?
That's called bulla, which is a coriander, spring onion, caramelised onion, hellim, which is halloumi, cheese. It's got black olives in there. And that's, again, a very traditional Cypriot loaf.
It smells great.
And you're meant to kind of, you have that with, this is a proper bread dipper dish. You want to dip your bread in, you want to scoop up the rice.
That's what I was expecting with the kebab.
And then...
What, the salad?
Yes, exactly.
A few chilies on it as well.
Is that perfect, I think?
So give us the name of this dish.
This is molla here with shehrigeli pilav and kukris churi.
It smells and looks amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Easy as
Thank
that.
you.
Right, gentlemen, you've got a sharing platter over here. So the idea is you what? Dunk the bread in, dunk the rice in and mix it all in? Or
Dunk, scoop. I feel like you need spoons.
Dunk, scoop and... Well, I'll give the gents.
That's ready for my spoon.
Yeah, exactly that. We'll
Especially while the bread's still hot as well.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. I'm going to try it out of the pan.
Yeah, great idea.
I'm going to dunk it out of this pan as well.
It's going to make a mess, but...
Super tasty, that. It's like a smoky sort of flavour, isn't it, those leaves as well? It's quite unusual, but there we have it. Melise Berg, everybody! Right, Mike will be rustling up a dish of pasta for us a little bit later on this morning, and I'll be laying on spot of lunch for my guest, Michaela Strachan, at the end of the show. But I'll see you here after the break, when I'm giving you a lesson in salt, baking and salt in this week's Little Masterclass. I'll see you in a bit. It's going to take me about 3 minutes to wash up. See you in a bit. welcome back. Now, there's still more to come from my guest, Michaela Strachan. And Mr. Mike Reed, the brilliant chef, will be taking over the kitchen duties. That's coming up next. But first, it's time for this week's masterclass. And this week, I thought I'd teach you everything you could possibly want to know about salt baking fish. In fact, salt in general. And to be honest with you, we haven't got the time to talk about even just a selection of the amount of salts that are on offer over here. But it's a fascinating subject, is salt, and particularly salt baking. But what we're going to do is salt bake this lovely bit of fish. Now, you can do this with any size fish. It's entirely up to you. You can do it with smaller trout. It's entirely up to you. So I've got some egg whites over there. That's just going to go in here. I'm going to whip this all up into a little meringue. So we're going to start that off on here, because then I'm going to talk about the different salts in a minute. But while that's whipping up, I'm then going to take this lovely little bass. Now, what we're going to do is trim off the fins of this. So this is a line-caught sea bass. And I know that because the size of it. This is a Cornish line-caught bass. It's absolutely beautiful. I know the fisherman that gets it and the guy who sends it to me as well. But we want to trim off these little fins. Just get into the habit of doing that. So those bits and these bits. And what I tend to do with this as well is I trim off the tail, because while it cooks, this can burn. So you just trim off the little fins off here, off there. So you've just got a much more manageable piece of fish. Then once we get to that stage, you can use some lemon, a couple of slices, and some herbs. I've got some rosemary, I've got some thyme over here, and in the cavity that we got, this is when you can put the lemon on there. Now, like I said, it is a very honest way of cooking. If you go to Spain and Italy and France, where a lot of this salt comes from that we're going to talk about in a minute, you'll see a lot of this style of cooking on the menu. It's just a brilliant way to cook fish like this. Sometimes the herbs, these type of herbs, the rosemary and the thyme, are added to the egg whites and the salt. Other times they're just put in the cavity like that and just held in like that. So once we get to that stage, I can move that to one side. And while that's happening, my egg whites are whipping up. Now, the salt that I'm using for this is sea salt. The predominant amount of salt that we use in this country and around the world is from the sea. There are two different types, sea and land salt, first of all. Now, first of all, because it says salt on the packet, not all salts are the same. They taste totally, totally different. Some are more refined than others, some are more natural than the others. So if you're talking about refined salts or heavily sort of manufactured salts, you would think about sort of the fine sort of the table salt, that classic salt you put on your fish and chips, the fine grain. Now, when you taste this, it's quite high in sort of sodium, quite sharp in terms of the taste. So when you taste it, it's actually quite strong. So bear that in mind when you're actually seasoning the food as well. So when you're using things like table salt or fine salts or other things like kosher salt, which is heavily refined as well, just be careful when you taste it like that, when you're adding this to the food. So for this one, you can use either or, different types of salts that we've got on here, but generally we use a classic sort of sea salt. Now, because it comes from the sea, you think all these taste the same. They taste totally different, even when they're from the UK. So we're just going to take the salt like this. You do look a bit weird going to the supermarket and buying this much salt. You may get questions asked of you, but look, you just mix this together, and this is when we can add the herbs. So your things like your chopped rosemary, your thyme, you can add to this mixture now if you wish. Some people put a little bit of lemon zest in there, a bit of orange zest maybe. It's entirely up to you, but I like to keep things really simple and really plain. When you get that, get yourself a tray. We just want to put just a touch down the centre. Now, because the whole thing is going to be encased in this as well, so I'm just going to take a nice little bit. So it looks like a meringue, doesn't it, really? Now, this you don't obviously eat. This is just going to be the casing in which it cooks, like that. And then you can take your entire fish and place that on there. Now, some people are put off by the head part of it. You can take that off if you want. I just cover it up. But you're going to take this piece of salt like this. Now, roughly what you're looking for is sort of the same thickness all the way through, top and bottom. So when you're putting this on, put plenty on, and just make sure when you're doing this, you can then just spread this out a little bit. So get yourself a smaller spatula, makes it easier, and spread this all out. Now, what will happen with this, while it cooks, it creates this case, this firm case. And what it happens inside it, it produces steam, which cooks this fish amazingly. And you'll see this, like I said, if you go in on holiday and stuff like that, you see this in restaurants a lot, particularly in Europe, where they cook this and it comes to the table and you just sort of crack it open in front of everybody, because it's a brilliant dish. If you've got a big table, everybody can just pick on and eat off. It's absolutely delicious. So once you get to that stage, you don't need to do anything with it. No fancy patterns, nothing. We then just can pop this in the fridge as well if you wanted to, cook this for later, but set the oven about 180, something like that, for about, this is going to take about 45, 50 minutes to cook. You can test it. If you just get a skewer, place it into the middle there and just touch it on the lip. If it's hot in the middle, that means it's cooked, but it needs to go in the oven nicely like that. So I'm going to pop this one in this oven, in there, because that's going to cook nicely. Meanwhile, we've got this one over here, because what I'm going to do is take this out and leave it to rest a little while I explain to the different types of salt over here. So we've got, like I said, different types of sea salts for this. Now, although I've used Maldon salt for this, from Essex, you can then travel around the UK, really. We've got Welsh sea salt over here. You've also got the flavoured salts that we've got over here. Your smoke, your garlic, your celery and your onion that you use for different bits and pieces, Indian cookery and cocktails and bits and pieces like that. But if we go back to this sort of sea salts over here, really the prize one, I suppose, is the salt from the salt flats in the Camargue. That's area of the south of France. And you've got this pink hue to it as well. This is really the king of all salts, which people call this, but it tastes unbelievable. And people never believe me, but when you actually go to the Camargue and see the salt plains, there are wild flamingos flying in to eat off the salt plains as well, because they get so many nutrients from this. It's amazing. So that's another one to look out for as well. That comes from the Camargue. Then I showed you a little bit on the show earlier about the salt flats in Spain. This is the genuine salt from the salt flats just out of Cadiz. And these are amazing. You get this, it's weird. This is, the Maldon salt's drier, whereas this, you think because it's warmer, it should be drier still. This is still quite damp. And the flavour from it is sort of half sea salt, half sort of rock salt that we've got in here. You've got this crunch to it as well. Unlike the other salts we've got in here, which are soft to the taste, this one's like crunchy as well, but this one is delicious. So not all salts are the same. Like I was saying, most of it comes from the sea. The rest of it comes from the land. And I wanted to show you this one's over here as well. You've got your classic Himalayan salt, which is over here. A lot of this comes from Pakistan. You get black salt as well, which is another one. These are mined in salt blocks like this, from the Himalayas and Pakistan, this one. These are the big salt blocks. Now, people use these, if they're crushed up into big pieces, this is what you would put in your pepper grinders, your salt grinders. You wouldn't put sort of sea salts in it. You want rock salt, which comes from mines, which we've got over here. Now, this can be used for a variety of different things. Like I said, crushed up and used as a seasoning. You can spread it. But if you check out this is what this is full of. So basically what this is a fridge full of 80 of these blocks, all in here. This is a classic salt chamber for meat and fish. Now, a lot of people think you can just do meat in this, and meat is amazing in this. I've got pork that's been in there for about 3 days, produces the most amazing crackling. This beef, by the way, has been in there for over a year. This is a fridge, not a freezer. It's been in there for a year. If you keep it in there for too long, you're going to end up with very, very little meat, because it just keeps drawing the moisture out. That's why if you keep it in there longer than more than a week, probably, week or two, you need to wrap it in beeswax, and that'll prevent it from shrinking up even more. But it's a brilliant way to age fish or meat. So that is just a small snippet of salt. But when you actually come to taste this, this is what it's all about. And you don't need anything really. You've got to keep this really, really simple, because you can just break this with a knife. And this is when it comes to the table and you do this, you just break it open. You can see the steam from it as well, like that. We just lift this off. I just think it just looks lovely as it is. Look at that. It's absolutely, it smells amazing. You've got the smell of the lemon, the herbs, the salt, everything else. You break that up, and I'm going to serve it with a little lemon wedge, a little bit of watercress, because I just think it just wants, the simplicity of this is the key to it. And you don't want anything fancy with it, just serve it as it is, so you get the beautiful flavour of the fish and everything that goes with it. And we can just take our The little bit of salt is fine to eat like that, but you just take a knife, cut this through, and we can just lift this off. You can see that, look. It's just coming off the bone beautifully. We lift that up. It's so, so delicious, this. So simple, but you can see, look, from the steam of it, the flavour and the moisture that is kept still in it as well. It's beautiful. And the great thing about this, you can just pick on it as well as you're doing it. But there we have it, a classic, classic dish and a brilliant subject to talk about. And remember, next time you're in the supermarket or shop, salt is not just salt. They taste totally, totally different. But there we have it, my salt-baked fish, salt-baked sea bass, with a little bit of watercress and lemon. Done. Now, if there's anybody that's learning about a little masterclass, then do get in touch. We see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break, but join us again in a couple of minutes for more great plates of food, this time from Chef Mike Reed. I'll see you in a bit. It's good, that, isn't it? Welcome back. Now I'll be making roast tomato soup for my guest, Michaela Strachan. That's coming up next. But before that, I'm here with both of my guest chefs. We're about to tuck into a dish from a chef who's making a name for himself here at home and in the food scene and the TV world down under. It's the brilliant Mr. Mike Reed. Thank you. Welcome back, Chief. Thanks, now, you're usually armed with a big chunk of beef. And you've not brought it. I'm looking for it.
I know. Do you know what? To be fair, I was going to bring you a cheeky little tomahawk on the side.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot.
Well, what was is not the exact word that I wanted by this. But what are we going to do then?
So I'm going to make a truffle and ricotta angelotti. And it's relatively easy to make pasta at home.
I love it how he says this, yeah. It's relatively easy.
It is relatively easy. So, you know, you're going to start rolling that out into sheets for us now. And essentially, to make the pasta at home, I've got 250 00 flour, 250 semolina flour, 4 egg yolks, and then I use 200 ml of saffron-infused water.
Right.
So to really amplify the colour of the dough, to get that beautiful yellow.
And that's the beautiful colour that we've got in this dough as well, all right?
Yeah.
And then you just use a little bit of semolina to roll it out through the pasta machine?
That's it. A little bit of semolina to help it not stick. Doesn't get incorporated in the flour. Like, it's relatively straightforward.
Says here why he's giving me this job as well to do.
100%.
Yeah, all right. So tell us about the filling then. Where does this come in?
The filling, again, really simple. Like, the season that we're in now, I wanted something quite light.
Yeah.
So I'm doing ricotta, cream cheese, and then I use this really gorgeous white truffle paste.
Okay.
Which
Is that something you've got on your travels, or where does this come from?
Do you know what? I've actually been using this truffle company probably for about 8 years in London. In there, you get that.
You do realise that was the last time you're going to see about it?
I know,
because if he puts it on all of his restaurant menus, you completely had it with that one. There's nothing left.
I'm hoping my 8 years with him will do me some favours.
Not a chance. So tell me about why Australia then and Oz? Because, I mean, I've never been. It fascinates me as a country.
So I first went in 2009 and fell in love with the country then. Like, the people, beautiful, really relaxed, gorgeous country, and the weather is pretty amazing, to be fair.
And everyone's in shape, you know. Last time I went there, I went down to Bondi Beach. There's a fantastic little restaurant there.
Bondi especially, yeah.
I had my shorts and T-shirt, and I felt quite pathetic, really.
Yeah,
I stay away from Bondi Beach.
Bondi Beach is not my beach.
I was like, maybe I just get a gym membership and go home.
That's it. You have to be fit in Australia, which is why I spent half my year here. But ultimately, you know, like I ended up marrying an Aussie afterwards, and like we always wanted to live there. Raising family there, it's a beautiful place. So that's why I ended up in Australia.
Right, what have you just done? You've just done that and mixed it together?
Basically, just mixed it together.
Yeah.
So simple. Those 3 ingredients, a little bit of seasoning, and then essentially I've got it ready here in a piping bag to pipe out.
Okay. Which I've got my pasta sheets over here that's finished. Nice. There you go.
So just cut that open.
That's that done. Right, that's that. So tell everybody, whereabouts are you in the UK now? How many you've got? What?
So we've got 23 in the UK now. 1M, lots of gauchos all over, a lot of regional gauchos now, Cardiff, Liverpool, so on and so on.
I thought his air miles were going to be good. Yours are pretty spectacular.
Mine are nothing compared to it.
So what? Tell me, you've just piped this on here.
Just piped it in, okay? And now we literally just roll it over
I love that little Aussie twang coming out now. Have you heard it?
Exactly.
It is. Do you know what?
Yeah.
And like, I do a bit of Aussie TV, obviously, and I get a lot of remarks about my British accent over there. And then I come here and I get remarks over my Aussie accent, so I can never win.
Because you did Ready Steady Cook over here, and then you're about to launch it over there, aren't you?
Yeah, it launches, well, it's just launched now. Launched 8th of March, but we brought it back as like a prime time. So it's once a week, Friday nights.
Can I tell you, it used to be prime time. It used to be when I did it.
Yeah.
I remember 14 to 15 million people on a Friday night.
I remember, James.
When you were walking out of a green pepper and a red tomato.
Yeah.
That's
with the bandana on.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
And a body that I could go to Bondi Beach in, not anymore.
But do you know what? Everyone's asked me why have I decided to do it again? And like, you must remember, it's a fun show.
Yeah, it's good
fun. Do you know what I mean? It's good fun. And that's one of the things that I loved about it. Like, you literally rock up, you don't know what you're going to do, you just have a laugh, and you do the best you can in 20 minutes.
That's great.
So we just pinch this off.
Yeah.
And, like, create the little shapes. Don't worry if you get a bit of overspill or whatever.
Love it. Is that Jason's bit, that little one?
Yeah. And then we just...
This is a very fancy pasta cutter as well. I'm loving this.
It's a beautiful one. If you can get it, you can get, like, silver ones as well. But this is just, like, it will last you a lifetime if you look after it. Thanks, mate. So we just roll it down and then just split it off. So you get this gorgeous shape, which is fairly quick and easy to make.
It is, right?
Loving that. But the key to this is the dry inside of it. So
That's it. So once you get to this stage now, you literally put it on a tray, a bit of semolina flour.
Yes, chef, I'm on it. There you go.
And then leave it out for about at least half an hour before you pop it in the fridge. Do you know what I mean? And that will just form a nice.
So if people are going to do these at home, could you freeze these or not?
Absolutely. Dry them first.
Yeah.
Dry them out and then pop them in the freezer. Don't stack them up. Like, freeze it first on a long tray or
flat.
Yeah. And then once it's frozen, you can then pop it into a container and then cook directly from frozen.
Okay, we've got these ones over here,
Yeah.
so I'll move these out of the way.
So now...
So then these are the ones that have been dried out, these
That's
ones.
it. So this is just... I've just left this drying basically today. Right. So you've got a beautiful, which is now easy to handle. It's not so soft. And if you're cooking it straight from fresh, because you just want to, they will take about 30 seconds. From dry, they take a couple of minutes.
So simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Unbelievable. Lovely shape.
And they
Beautiful
dried at
shape.
room temperature, are they?
These are room temperature.
So you got me going to book a ticket to Australia now, you see.
You've got to. I'd love to show you around. And
yeah. Well, all the shows I've ever done, weirdly enough, in 30 years, have all been shown in Australia.
Oh, they'll love you down there.
And I've never been, so...
It's such a lovely country.
Yeah, they're so warm.
And food obsessed.
Yeah,
great produce. Oh my gosh.
Everyone's a foodie, which has its pros and cons.
Everyone's a critic.
Everyone's a critic.
Right.
Okay, so we're just going to make a really.
This is why you're coming back. Look at the amount of butter in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on. It's on. It's on. Yeah.
So we're just going to go straight in with the butter.
Yeah.
And we're just going to emulsify it almost with a little bit of that pasta water.
Okay.
If you want
so you're making a little sauce with this, then?
Exactly. Almost like a cacio e pepe.
Right.
You want me to that sort of stuff?
Grate this?
Yes, please.
So this is it's not Parmesan. I love this cheese.
Yeah, it's pecorino.
Yeah.
So like it's still aged and fermented in the same sort of way, but it's like it's a more. I prefer the flavour. It's more depth, more salty, more umami on there. So it goes really well with this.
So when you come back to the UK, where would you decide where you cook when you're on the plane? Where are you cooking? Where are you cooking mainly? In London?
So mainly now I focus on the creative side of the business. You know, I make all of the menus, do all the development, and just have all the fun. Yeah. Yes, please. Go straight for it. Yeah, go for it.
Like that. A bit of that. And it's really interesting. You're just using the pasta water, and just butter to make the sauce.
Butter, cheese. I'm going to hit it with a bit
That's
of pepper.
Italian cooking, though, right? So simple. But
yeah, simple. Thank you.
That's all right. And the pasta, no more than a couple of minutes.
That's it. That'll be ready.
There you go. Bring that down there. Turn that one off. There you go.
A little bit more.
I love the simplicity of this.
had the best cacio e pepe in a restaurant in Rome from a young female chef at a restaurant called Il Palato. She was young, and it was just,
yeah.
Changed
No pressure there, then. I know, right?
changed the way I felt about pasta.
Yeah. Do you want me to lift those up? You can finish off the sauce.
Thank you.
So you got to lift these
there
out.
with the sauce. All I do now is a little bit of chive oil.
Yeah.
Don't whisk it in.
Oh, you let it to separate a little
Exactly. Almost split the sauce. And then we just nappe it over, drizzle it over.
Move that out of the way. And it's really interesting. People who want to make the pasta sauce really simple. Don't need tons of ingredients. Just that. Just
That's
lovely.
it.
I love pecorino as well. I think it's got that lovely nutty
fantastic.
kind of flavour to it. It's
Fantastic.
so good.
Look at that. You went a little bit rogue with your plating, but I'll let you off, Chef.
Sorry, Chef. So I did go a bit rogue, but you know. Time's kicking on and all. Never really kicked a chef before.
Twice today. And a little bit of truffle to finish.
Well, at least I can count. You bought 3 and 2, Chef.
That was you!
That was, well, you only gave me...
Oh, no, that was for us. That's why I wanted.
there you are, right.
I'm a chef. I'm not a mathematician.
I can tell. Right. So give us the name of this dish.
So my truffle and ricotta angelotti with a cacio e pepe sauce and truffle.
How good is that? Mike, everybody. Bon appetit. There we have it. There we have it.
Thank you.
I mean, these got this. You like knife and fork over there, too. Right. I'm loving this. Smells amazing.
Doesn't it?
You get that nice hit of truffle.
That's delicious.
That's a great dish.
Simple,
Good.
accessible, delicious.
Simple, accessible, black truffle. White truffle mix that he's going to buy it all. Yeah, you'll be able to do this at home. It'd be great. Mike Reed, everybody. Right, we've still got time for one more final dish this morning, so join us again after the break where we're treating Michaela Strachan to roasted tomato soup. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to the final part of the show. I'm back in the kitchen with Mike, Meliz, Jason, and of course, Michaela Strachan. Great to have on the show, guys. So we're going to finish off this dish with tomato soup. Who doesn't love a tomato soup?
Gotta love it.
So sometimes out of a can, which we talked about off camera, with mashed potato, What on earth is that all about? But we're going to do that with a nice little bit of flatbread. So first of all, we're going to get Mike on with a flatbread. So really, really simple. Not like your flatbread. We're going to do... This is a simple one. So we're going to take a little bit of flour and then want you to mix together with a touch of water.
Yeah.
Produce this little sort of... almost like a pasta dough. So just a little bit of water to start with, get the machine going, and then we're going to roll that through a pasta machine. That produces this. And then sprinkle it over with a little bit of salt, and another flavouring that goes brilliant with tomato soup is cumin.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a little bit of cumin in there. So you're going to mix that up. That's it, stop there. And then mix together plenty of flour in, like that, and then you're going to roll it through the pasta machine, and that's it. Nice, thick set to start with, down to thin. Done. That's that one done. Meanwhile, over here, we're then going to take our tray and then take our tomatoes, then roast this. I don't know about you, Jace, but I think roasted tomato soup is...
the best.
I think it's the best way to do it, really. But you take
Outstanding.
all the ingredients that you put in a soup, bar the liquid, but just simply roast them in the oven. So the onions, the garlic, a little bit of chilli, Michaela, because I know you don't like too hot, spicy food. That's going to get roasted off in the oven for about 10, 15 minutes, and we're going to blend it all up. Now, Jason, this is your first time on the show, but I remember speaking to you and saying we've got Michaela Strachan. You remember Michaela on TV as well?
I do.
But not for the morning one. For
no,
this is
because as chefs, we're night owls, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Saturday night service, working at Harvey's, we'd be out afterwards, get in at like 2 o'clock in the morning, after being kicked out somewhere, and there you would be.
But what you're here to talk about, this pilgrimage, this amazing trip that you've done through Wales as well. Tell everybody about that. Those people are just waking up as well.
So there were 7 celebrities that go on a pilgrimage through North Wales. It was the North Wales pilgrimage. And along the way, you meet spiritual and religious people, and you talk about faith, and you talk about your beliefs. I don't belong to an organised faith, but there were people that did. There was someone that was Catholic, someone that was lapsed Muslim, someone that had been brought up Jain. And so it was really interesting, you know.
Interesting mix of people.
Interesting mix of people, but how often do you actually sit down every night for 2 weeks and have deep, meaningful conversations about the meaning of life? Yeah. It was exhausting. It was pretty exhausting, but lots of humour. I've seen the first episode, and, well, obviously it went out last night, and there is a lot of humour in it.
Yeah, and it's the whole trip is, what, you take a couple of weeks to do?
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Right.
We
and what about staying? Because I've not done a pilgrimage tour, but I remember going to Spain. You had that famous one. I can't remember.
Camino.
Camino, that's the one.
And so I've done the last day of the Camino.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we actually kayaked the coast of the Camino. It's called...
Of course you did. Of course you did. I got a car there, but yeah, kayaked.
It's called Camino de Kayak. And so you could kayak some of the coast, and then you stop and you do the last day into Santiago de Compostela, which is the end of the Camino pilgrimage. Did you enjoy it?
Well, I interviewed the people who had done it, and it's quite an interesting... People have done it for so many different reasons, but there's no real start to it. The start to it was where they're from, and people were going from, you know, like Holland to Spain. They were walking this trip, and people did it from all manner, and thousands of people. You'd be sat there in the square, and people were coming, you were interviewing people for all these different reasons why they were doing it.
We started by talking about the Wide Awake Club and Timmy Mallet. So Timmy Mallet has actually, in recent years, cycled it on his e-bike. So he cycled the Camino.
That's cheating on it. You mentioned cycling, it would be one thing. Then you mentioned e-bike, and I went, that's just...
I'd like to see you on an e-bike
I'm not going
every day for a month.
I'll stick with the car, thank you very much. I'll stick with the car as well. But look, we've got a changing subject from that. Look, we've got a nice little soup. So we've got a touch of cream, a little bit of stock, the tomatoes going in. This is the little bit of bread that we've got on here. It needs practice to make it a little bit bigger than that. But then a little bit of cumin seeds over the top. And you just simply brush this with water and bake it in the oven. And when you bake it in the oven, straight in the oven, this then just puffs up into this stuff.
It's amazing, mate.
It's really simple, like that. That's going to go in there as well. And then we just pop this on here and just blend this all up to make our nice little soup. So what I've done, just to recap, just get this going. So we'll just get this going. There's a little bit of stock in here. This is where you can add a bit more stock if you need it. And just to recap what we're going to hear. So the tomatoes just get put on a tray. Garlic, shallots, everything just gets put on the tray and then popped in the oven. A good sort of 20, 30 minutes. And then when it comes out, you just blend it with the cream and the stock, the vegetable stock. So that we can take this off. Then you pop the soup. And then we can alter the texture of it with a bit more cream. And because we've got Mike here, and because we've got a multi-Michelin star chef over there, you're doing the seasoning for this. It's called passing the buck. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what it is. That goes on there, and we've got a little bit of there. So, and also you're going to be treating the viewers to Spring Watch, which is coming up shortly as well. You've got that.
Yeah, so that starts the last week of May for 3 weeks.
Do you miss doing the other stuff that you started out doing? Because, you know, you started the stage shows and stuff like that. Do you part of you must think, I want to go back to that.
Well, for years I did panto, but I haven't done that for a long time. And then I did an arena show called Walking with Dinosaurs, which was just amazing, you know, to come to have not done panto for years and then walk into an arena show. Mm-hmm. You know, arenas have thousands of people. It was really exciting.
Not nervous?
No. In fact, you know, the first night I was really nervous and I messed up the first line. Not that the audience would have noticed, but I knew, you know, and I thought, oh, for goodness sake. But I do miss that side. I miss that sort of theatrical performance a little bit, yeah.
And what about, tell me about life in South Africa, because, you know, what an amazing country, an amazing place. Because you're north of Cape Town, are you?
No, I'm right sort of on the slopes of Table Mountain National Park. So obviously, I mean, Table Mountain dominates that city, and the national park dominates the city, and that's what makes it such a beautiful city, because it's a city that's squashed between the Atlantic Ocean and this impressive mountain. And you feel an energy when you go there from, the sea and the mountain. And I love the mountain. The mountain is, my place. I spend a lot of time hiking in the mountain.
It is. Have you ever been?
I've been.
You've been. I mean, it is absolutely
stunning.
It is spectacular. Beautiful part of the world.
Good place to go for food as well.
I was going to say, amazing food scene.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, Hampshire's not looking too bad this morning, to be honest with you. I think, look, we're just going to take a nice little bit of soup. So this is the roasted tomato soup. There we go. I would say I was going to serve Jason's in the pan, but I'll do you another plate in a minute, but we'll just turn that down a bit. And then I've got these lovely... So these are the sun-blushed tomatoes. So I've done the same thing with the little cherry tomatoes. And what I've done is put them with just vegetable oil. Olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil. And you get this amazing whammy of sort of sweetness with these.
It's almost jammy in texture,
they're
isn't
just amazing. And you can keep these going and they'll cook even more. But these have been cooked in the oven for about sort of 30 minutes on a lower temperature. I think they just taste delicious.
And you can keep them, can't you, for a while?
Yeah. That's the thing. You can put them in a jar and, you can just keep them. But you've got a little bit of the cream on that on the top. Touch of the cream over the top as well. We've got a little bit of that. A little drizzle of that. Jackson Pollock style.
My mum's tomato soup, when I wasn't very well, never looked like that.
No. It didn't look like yours with the mashed potato in it out of the tin.
Lovely, you've got to try it.
I was thinking, I'm going to do this amazing soup. So I like the one out of a tin with mashed potato. First time on the show. I'll let you off. There you go. But there you have it. So my roasted tomato soup, no mashed potato, not out of the tin. But there we have it. Simple little roasted tomato soup with these little sort of, cumin and poppy seeds. Croutons, really. Easy as that. Done. Right, bon appetit. There we go. Jason, I'm going to make you one as well. There's your little flatbreads to go with it. Chefy, we better make
pretty.
Chef
Look
one.
at that.
We just got what's left in the pan, if that's all right.
I've already got my spoon ready for the pan.
I know. There we go. So dive into that. Tell me what you think.
Oh, that is a taste sensation.
It's a little bit of spice in there as well.
No, it's just right.
Yeah, it's just on the back.
It's not burning. It's not burning lips.
Better with mashed potato.
I was just trying to ask. It's a
Not used to that.
It's delicious.
Yeah, tell me what you think of that one. But it's super simple as well.
It looks so beautiful.
When you roast the tomatoes as well, taste it.
You can't beat roasted tomato soup.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful.
Seasoning all right, Chef?
Perfect.
Good.
And that's it.
Happy with that? I told you it was going to be a good show today. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests. Mike Longman down in Cornwall, Liz, Jason, Mike, and of course, Michaela Strachan. We'll see you back at the same time next Saturday morning. We'll be joined by our top chefs, Daniel Clifford, Mr. Raymond Blanc will be here, and presenters and farmers, Matt and Nicola Baker, will be dropping by. Until then, take care. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next weekend, and happy Easter. Bye for now.